Welcome to Graduate Show Part 2. And a lot of graduates the last 2 weeks, as if you've been on the show before, you know that it is because people are switching over to the new format, which is beautiful. People who previously were not as involved as maybe they should have been in their own business. Let's see if I can find Amgubzabzabs. There, dude is. And let's go look. So, like yesterday, we have quite a few. Today we have 10. We're going to roll through this here. Hello, Pepper Chess. Pepper Chess has been doing some good work, man. Some really good work. We'll have time to look at the scoreboard, too. We're seeing people doing some solid work now. And I've seen it in my students and myself, like having the impetus to do this thing. Game changer. Total game changer. Claw is here. Claw is a recent graduate. Okay, so let's go look. Ag is a gabadzub. I'm sorry. Now, it's a little weird. Maybe this is a false graduation because it goes 6 to 700 and then 11 to 12. Hard to say, dude. Hard to say. Well, wait a second. This doesn't seem right. This doesn't seem right, dude. This is hard for me to understand, honestly. Yeah. So I'm just going to look. Graduated from 1,000 to 1,100. Oh, so it seems like maybe Agazab. Maybe something's wrong. In any case, let's see if Agazab's got a game. No game. Okay, so I'm just going to move on from here. I'm not sure what's going on. Because it seems really weird. It seems like their rating suggests that they should be lower than, well, definitely lower than 1,100 to 12. So let's move on, and we're going to go MP3 Jam. MP3 Jam's right around here somewhere. Where's MP3 Jam? Oh, no. Oh, MP3 Jam, where did you go, buddy? There's Agzabov, MP3 Jam. Okay. So that's more of a typical ChessCom rating that you might expect. We'll look at activity. Basically nothing. So this is maybe somebody who just, got in and was like, dude, let's roll with it. I'm up, but, hasn't really entered any of their data. Okay. How do you beat a prof player? A prof is 2,000 ELO. I don't know if that's a professional player, boss. I don't know. Let me just say, anybody can have a punch hit them in the face. That's all I know from deep experience. You can get punched in the face, my friends. Punched in the face. All right, MP3 Jam. Also something's weird going on there. Mr. Barbarian, however, I know is, let's call him the real deal. And he's back here somewhere. Now, there we go. And then there's Mr. Barbarian. Okay. And I've read this quote before, but it's pretty great to reiterate. If you graduate, one of the things you can do is you can say something if you want. This is a cool thing that Mr. Jack Stenglein did all on his own, giving people the opportunity. And we got several interesting quotes coming up. So let's read what Mr. Barbarian says. 2.0 is fantastic. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. There's definitely room for more context in some places, however. For example, a first book of Morphy has 0 instructions. I was able to figure out what you meant, study the middle game section because it was in that, but there was no indicator that the first part of the book was studied last rating band. I don't think that's true, dude. I don't think that's true, man. I think we shifted some stuff around, and I think that's where the confusion there is. As for instructions, other than read the book, I'm a little confused. All right, let's read. Additionally, I'm unsure if you guys have this taken care of on the back end, but there is an artificial inflation of rating gain per band. Okay, so I know what he's talking about. A lot of people have it entered as 0 instead of like 1450. And I think that's getting fixed. Also, just sometimes it takes a while for it to update. That's my understanding of that. I really enjoyed going through a first book of Morphe. Most of the positions were as chaotic as what I tend to get at this level, so it was more relatable. Okay. That's a joke because Mr. Pruess thinks Morphe was in 1900. The most helpful task was for sure playing the games and analyzing. I found it very beneficial to find and acknowledge my first mistake in a game and focus on that more than anything else. Since pattern recognition plays such a huge role in chess improvement, it stood to reason that if I could recognize the first mistake/blunder and fix it, that it would not occur again. This has largely been the case. I remember every time those analyzed positions come up, even in faster time controls, and do not make that mistake again. Beautiful. Okay. Let's just reiterate what dude says. The most helpful task was for sure playing the games and analyzing. Okay, so let's go. 302 points gained, boss. That's pretty real. Next graduation, 1450. Nice, I like this a lot. Okay, let's go activity. So what we're gonna need to do for enthusiastic barbarian. Enthusiastic, there's another dude named enthusiastic. This is just Mr. Barbarian, thank you very much. Is now he's in 1112. We just want to see what he did in 1000 to 1100. Beautiful breakdown. So, oh yeah. So we are expecting to find 2 annotated games. Look at that. That was a nice little number pops up. Dude, this site is amazing, right? With some postmortems, 5 cohort games. Cohort games, by the way, is a new feature where that is just to review 5 games of people that were annotated in your cohort. Games that were well annotated, at least in our opinion. Okay, great. Look at that time breakdown, dude. Games and analysis. It just takes longer. So I feel definitely like Mr. Barbarian is doing it right. Okay, so let's see if Mr. Barbarian's got some games. There he is. And let's choose the most recent one. It's playing up. Okay, beautiful. Yesterday, I don't know, everybody was black. Today we're going to get some people that are white. All right, M. Norris has got something to say about this book, and let me just read it. They seem to misunderstand. The book is broken into 3 parts, and one is middle game. I think they thought because it was in the middle game section that they needed to only read that part. Okay. Yeah. You got to read the whole book. It's the whole book. Maybe we'll put, if that's a common enough misunderstanding, we will, say something. Okay, great. Keeping the tension is something that I enjoy doing rather than exchanging everything instantly. Okay. All right. So, terrible move. There have been some strong players who have played this terrible move, but it's obvious that it's a terrible move. The idea of the French is to get this pawn to commit, either to take or to push, and then if they push, which is a little more common, you need to whack them with c5. Okay, knight f3 can't be bad. Bishop b4, terrible. Okay, so the problem with bishop b4 is that that's your good bishop on b4, and you never want to trade it. Okay, so e5, good move. Probably could have played bishop b3 as well, but I like this. Not great. Not great. No one knows what it does. a3, good move. Pop, pop. Now, I want to say about a3. You didn't have to do it, but let me stress that this is an example of white making a move that is not developing that I approve of. Normally, I yell at people when they don't make a developing move. But the point to appreciate about a3 is that a3, if they don't take, then we haven't lost any time. If they do take, we have gained such a valuable asset in the black dark square bishop that it's worth it, right? Ken says the game review looks awesome. Yes, it does. Thank you very much. Yep. Okay. So my layout maybe not the best. Huh? How about this? Let's shrink these bad boys just a touch. In fact, let's just shrink this one here. Let's just shrink that a little bit so we don't interfere with El Bordo. I love it. Now, by the way, this is just a streaming trick that I saw Eric Rosen do, and I was like, I got to be able to do it. Look at that. Look at that. It's like I'm on there. Then there's like some notation behind my head. I put my head down, you can see notation. Oh, man, that's what makes a boomer GM happy. Can do something like that. Okay, so white's playing great. Now, let me just stress that at this level, the positional stuff will help, but generally somebody's going to still blunder something. Okay, I want to see bishop d3 next. Ooh, this is a bad move. I should have played bishop d3 instead, as it is where I want it to end up anyways. In short, it wastes time when I had the initiative. Correct. Now, something I want to say, just in terms of imagining how anyone's game at this level could progress. Later, let's just imagine, later in your chess development, in the Dojo training program, you'll come across the book, The Art of Attack by Vukovic. And I've been working with my student Jamil going through that. And one of the cool things there is he shows a gazillion examples of the, let's call it Greek gift sacrifice. So bishop d3, castles, we should assume that bishop h7 now works. We would want to calculate it some, but we should in principle believe that it works. So pop, 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 and the king has to go for a walk because king g8, I'm coming in. Lucy, I'm coming in, right? Okay, so in any case, I don't want to go deep into that, but that is an example of a position. Mr. Barbarian was talking about seeing certain positions and analyzing them and then seeing them again and being able to do it quicker the next time around. This one's one of them. So bishop d3 really prevents castling. Castling would be a standard blunder from black in this kind of position. Yeah. Okay. Castles. Castles. Okay. And now black makes a mistake. H6. Black needs to understand that white eventually is going to play bishop d3 and needs to do some stuff. So some standard plans for black would be f6 to enable this kind of business. Another standard plan would be knight a5, maybe knight c4, maybe c5. But just hanging around isn't going to do it. And furthermore, moving on white's strong side of the board, we know it's our strong side because these pawns are pointing that way. Black's strong side of the board is, of course, the queen side. His pawns are pointing that way. Okay, so bishop d3. Okay. By the way, one of the things I've said multiple times, it's in the video of how to make all of the levels after 1000, is that what happens at this level is people give away time. And so white definitely gave away some time, black too. Now, a5 doesn't make any sense to me. Now, one of the things actually we'll say about black's last two move, h6 and a5, the reason black is wasting time is because black doesn't know what to do. Has no idea of like what might be a plan in this situation. Okay, now here is where skill comes in for the white player. White needs to understand that our initiative is going to happen on the king side. And the biggest thing for us to be thinking about is getting the lady somewhere over here. Okay, so the candidate moves should be any of the moves. Oh, they just popped up. I don't want to put the knight on g5. But what I've tried to say is the candidate moves would be any knight move so that we can play queen to h5. Bring the lady to the strong side. Okay. Bishop e3. Now, you can actually see that Barbarian listed a4, h3, rook e1, bishop d2, and right, once you know about the pawns pointing, they're like, oh, the lady needs to come. Lady needs to come, right? It's time to attack. Senseless. Senseless. Now, sometimes I make fun of people, but the truth is, a lot of times when I'm analyzing my own games, I make fun of myself. And the point is, like, sometimes humor is a valuable thing, right? It's just like black has clearly lost his mind over here, Queen d2. Pop. Now it's interesting. Oh, baby. Oh. Oh, the Barbarian. Welcome to the dojo. That's a good move, Baus. That's a good move. Yeah, that's what black gets for just poking around doing nothing. No, that's it. Probably dude can't take. And now you give bishop e6 a double question mark. But what do you want him to do? f6. Ain't gonna solve all your problems, Mr. Boblums. But yeah, this truly ends. Now we're over. Okay, a reasonable try. Oh! He missed that one. Check to the miserable king. Checkmate. Oh, nice game, Mr. Barbarian. Also very nice notes. I don't know, I think I've filled up all of the cohort games at this point, but that's some good stuff right there, man. Some very good stuff. Nice. That was a beautiful game. Very instructive. The loss of time, the lack of strategic understanding of what's going on in the position, and then punishment. You figured out a little late. Oh, boss, but when you figured it out, and the cool thing to observe is the winning attack turns you on to the idea that, oh, well, the whole point in these positions is I gotta slay this guy, right? I gotta slay. Okay, that was really good. I enjoyed that a lot. Let's go look at Isaac. Isaac. And Isaac is over here. No, not there, Baus. And he's somewhere right around here. There's Mr. Barbarian. Felix, somewhere over here. Stan. Uh-oh. There's Isaac. Okay. I've not been in the program for a long time, but before I took it, I think what I learned the more in your videos was about taking time to analyze your games and to do the sweat work. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. So, dude has gained some points. Next graduation, 1550. Let's hit activity. And we're going to look at the old cohort. Did some stuff. Now, again, a lot of this is inaccurate in the sense that, maybe dude is just putting in some of what he did because we got the new site and everything. But I'm hoping that dude is doing what he said, which is going over the games. All right, good. Let's take a look if he's got any games here. No games. Okay, good. Let's move on to Stan. Stan227 is here in the chat too, my friends. Okay, so let's go back. And I believe Stan is like right around. There he is. Finally, my graduation. I love these little quotes. I waited quite a bit to see if my rating has stabilized and also wanted to add another classical game that shows my current inability when it comes to chess. I recently had lots of things in my life, so I mostly play rapid for enjoyment, although I still put a lot of focus in when I play. I know the senseis want me to work hard and play classical games, but my life is centered around other things at the moment, and I'm okay if the progress is slow. My main objective in chess at the moment is to focus more on my opponent's ideas and avoid one-move blunders. Okay, pretty good. Pretty good. We have a lot of people, by the way, who are like, Kraai, dude, let me play some rapid, boss. Let me play some rapid. I can't take it. I got kids. And the message I want to put out there, okay, is I totally with you. I have kids too. It can be a nightmare. And you don't need to play that much, okay, in terms of classical games. Even if you just played a couple tournaments a year, maybe you played one night, and get that classical game in and then do your other recs, right? But spend a good amount of time analyzing that one game that you did play. It is doable. And again, if you don't have that much time, one little splotch, right? You don't need to do it that often. Personally, I don't play that many tournaments. It's hard for me to get to play a tournament, So like coming up, I'm going to go to Charlotte in June. That's my warm-up tournament. And then in July, I have 2 big senior events that I want to win. Okay, enough talking. Let's go look at Stan. Okay. Stan is on the run, might not be watching. 208 points gained. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go activity. Oh, this is so beautiful, dude. So, Stan is up to 11 and already done quite a bit in 13-14. Let's look at 12-13. So one of the things that I can say is if Stan has got 52 points, got there with 52 points of work, dude is going to be moving up quickly, right? Because 52, that's a lot, but it's in order to get 100 points, that's a good clip to get there with that bit of work. So a lot of tactics. Let's click around a little bit. Mates in 2, boss. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir. Okay. And let's click endgame. Silman endgame. Good. Let's click on, what is it? Middle games and strategy. Master games to study. Okay, good. Beautiful. All right, cool. And we'll just briefly, time breakdown, games and analysis. Nice. Now, I think that's probably not representative, but maybe the next one will be. Time breakdown, non-dojo. I'm going to add my non-jojo times coming up here soon. So it's real interesting to see these pie charts. So it's starting to look real interesting when you click around and look at what people are doing. So, what's this one? Winning chess strategies, great. The end game is the Silman still. Tactics. I hope people don't get totally bored of the Silman dog. I hope they are dying. Okay, Mates in 2 continues. Fantastic. Okay, let's go look at Stan. We've got a game here. Stan's got mucho games. Nice. I love, too, that the most recent game shows up. In the old database, often it wasn't immediately clear to the Boomer GM what the most recent game was. And then in Discord, people would be like, boss, you need to be doing the most recent game. I'm like, I'm trying. All right, let's look at Clutch Easy. Okay, one of the things actually I want to take, would be interesting, is in the lower cohorts, we saw that people were moving maniacally fast, Like it was just insane. And so this clearly played on Lee Chess, and you can see the times that were used. So really nice, will be a nice, interesting thing for us to see how Stan and his opponent use their time. In general, I'm going to guess that as we move up the ladder, if we get these beautiful timestamps, we're just going to see people thinking more in critical positions instead of just going with their gut, which is the sign of, exhausted system 2. Okay, here we go. Pop, 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 pop. Okay, pop, pop. So far, so good. Okay, yeah. D4. Great. Now, I have a feeling that might have been the computer's remark, D32. I don't know. In any case, this is an old position, been played many times. This is one of the games to memorize is Rote-Levy Rubinstein 1907. It begins in this fashion. And I've played this myself as white. It's got more poison than it might appear. A3 has 2 points, is that if we go into an isolated queen pawn structure, which we're about to do, then it is very useful to control A3, even though it might not seem immediately obvious why. The second point is that if black doesn't move like bishop d6, we are going to strongly consider taking. Black takes back, b4, bishop b2 with an interesting game. Do these games have to be played against other dojo students? No. The advantage, let me just tell you the advantage of playing it in the dojo, we have our own classical tournaments, is if you're playing longer chess on chess.com right now against randos, the cheating factor is, I mean, it's extraordinary. It is simply extraordinary. So that's one thing. You're not going to run into a lot of cheaters if you're playing dojo games. Number two is, and we're seeing this, is that people in the dojo, because it's a requirement and also just because it's the right thing to do, are doing postmortems after the game. You know, meet your opponent afterwards, talk to them about what they thought the key decisions were before you turn on the computer. Okay, so c takes, and now knight takes is a mistake. Now, white is playing super fast. And let's talk about it. White is thinking, when they take, they're like, oh, I don't want to isolate a queen pawn. But why should they take with the pawn? Because then this bishop has scope. And white has I would say, a small advantage here. Nothing special, but, a small advantage. Okay, so knight takes. Don't like it. Now, ask yourself, Stan, why don't I like it? Because it's not a developing move. Thank you very much. Let's read this note. Bishop b6, pop, 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 pop. I never play these hanging pawn structures, hence I wanted to avoid the trade of knights. But apparently white doesn't even want to trade on c6, so black stays with an IQP. Okay, so I want to stress, okay, that before you worry about pawns, here you're worried about hanging pawns or something, worry about me yelling at you for not developing your stuff. How about that? How about that? That's pretty good. Worry about me yelling at you instead of worrying about your pieszkis. Pop, pop. Okay. Check to the miserable king made more sense to me. But okay, bishop b2. Pop. Poor. Because now c3 is loose, and it's not clear that was a developing move. What was correct? Castles had to be correct. Okay. And now knight c4 comes. Let's call this a critical position. Black is thinking much more than his opponent, but not that much, right? I want to stress this is a position where it's not immediately apparent what to do, right? And I think analyzing whether we play bishop e6 or a6 those are interesting decisions. Yeah. Now, some people yell at me and say, Kraai, we don't have enough tactics in the program. And I would say, Baus, tactics are in your own game. Yes, we have tactics, by the way. We have quite a bit in the program, but the main thing is to see the tactics are in your own game. Let's look at this position, knight c4. First of all, it feels loosey-goosey over here. And so we should expect something to happen. Now, maybe, actually, I take it back. I don't know. I'm not sure anything is happening. I think something's happening. And I almost said, and you don't know what it is, Mr. Jones. However, I refrained. Thank you very much. All right, let's look. I don't think it works. Here was a thought. Knight d5, knight b2, knight f6, queen f6, queen b3, and the knight doesn't get out. But then we have to worry about queen e5. And I don't see a beautiful way. Oh, I do. I do see a beautiful way. I go check to the miserable queen. In order to guard this knight, you got to go back. Unless bishop e6 were possible. We're about to look at that. But then here, I am winning Mr. Knight, and I'm a pawn ahead. Now, let's go look. Maybe bishop e6, though, and my coconuts might not like that moment. That looks unfortunate. Okay, so as I said, these are the kinds of variations we want to be looking at when we analyze our games. Okay, bishop b2. Let me read this. I should have realized that I cannot play b5 in time and cannot obtain a nice a6, b5, c4 pawn chain. Okay. Queen e2, and we did not find a way to protect c4 in the postmortem. Okay, good question. So queen e2. Yep, I think you're right. I think you're right. Good analysis. So rook c1. Good. b5. So the controversy with b5 is that black really wants to open the game for the bishops. So even if we lost c4, we have good chances of an initiative with our pawns. Bishop d7. I personally think queen e7 is pretty compelling because we'll have this in the offing and this in the offing. But bishop d7 makes sense. a4. Okay. Okay, so ba, so it doesn't have to give up the b5 square. At any point here, it would be helpful for Stan to give an evaluation, right? To kind of force himself to give an evaluation. I'm not 100% sure, but I would rather be black, right? Because the bishops are nice. And so in the c3 knight, while a beautiful blockader, it's kind of in the way of bishop b2 and all that jazz, you know? Okay, pop, pop. And now that's an example of waste of time. They're not really threatening bishop a4. So maybe rook fc1. Oh, that's fancy. That's fancy. Oh, okay. Now dude does give us an evaluation here with the unclear symbol. John Bartholomew's, hey, so first of all, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't always see it, dude, when I'm deep in the analysis, Bowers. When I'm deep in the analysis. So, John Bartholomew, king of Chessable, thank you for being here. What we're doing is we do a weekly graduate show for Dojo, and we've had so many graduates that we got several this week. As you can see, this is the second show in a row, and this is our second batch. So we had about 21 people this week. Okay, so, sorry I don't always see the Raiders. Originally, DM Hokie did a thing where he had an automated yelling at Jesse thing that happened, you know. But we don't have that anymore. Kraai. Let's read what happens here with rook c7. 3 minutes thought that was good. I should have stuck to my original plan to swing the queen over to the king side. My intention was to clear a path to maneuver my light square bishop to b7. I also considered rook b5. I think he means rook c5. But thought rook c7 would protect the bishop when it reaches b7 and leaves the 5th rank free for the queen. Okay. Now, a common problem I see in positions like this is What black is doing is trying to imagine how they can create a threat. Okay, so in this position, the dude is thinking, well, how do I get the bishop here? And that's the only threat I can imagine. Okay. Instead, we need to think about how to improve the position. So, for example, if we just play rook a b8, hey, bows, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. You know, that seems like just a very simple way of getting our stuff going. Queen g5 is also a thought. Problem with queen e5 is knight f3. Problem with queen g5 is also knight f3. So we'd want to somehow calculate that. I have sympathy, though, with queen g5. Might be a little concerned with the wild f4. Personally, maybe rook a b8 first, and then we'll just see what the dude does, and we'll say, hey, that rook is pretty useful. I don't know what you're going to do with that bishop. Bows, right? Okay, let's look. Rook c7. Holy canchabaloney. Whoa! Whoa! That's pretty spicy. This move was a shock, and all the tactics worked out, so I was surprised my opponent played it so quickly. He said he had already considered it earlier when it did not work, but now it did, since the rook on a8 is hanging. All right. All right. Let's pause. Let's pause. One thing I want to say is this shows good tactical awareness. And, you know, we're playing in a cohort where that's pretty good, man. I mean, whether it works or not, it's pretty good awareness for just tactics here. All right, so it looks like AB is no bueno because the rook is hanging. Okay, so C3 then happens. Good move. I think it's a good move. And now white takes the rook, which I think is incorrecto. My big question would be, well, if we just take this guy, and then this happens, and then this happens. There's a fascinating question here that needs to be asked. Does my knight get out, bows? So, for example, queen b5 or e5? Put on d5. Pop. Does Mr. Knight get out? I'm not sure. But we definitely have a question. What about queen b6? Okay, let's go back just to make sure we're on the correctamundo path here. So c3, knight d6. We're trying to win a pawn. Dude's got to take. I got to go back. And now, can I get at that knight? I don't think so. If I got queen d5, queen b6, I think the knight is not a zero, but rather a hero, right? Casual player asks about AB. What happened here? So here we are. AB, queen A1, rook A1. Nah, boss, you're down your business. You're down your business, and that pawn isn't going anywhere. Not even a threat. Not even a threat. White can start doing his own fancy pawn business stuff here too. Okay, so here we go. Knight c7 looks like a mistake because we take on the bishop and then we take the knight and we're up some stuff. We're up some stuff. So that's an interesting mistake. Not so much in terms of the quality of the analysis. I mean, excuse me, of the game, because that's, at this level, it's not uncommon to see a mistake like that. But in the analysis, we definitely should have talked about knight takes d6. Pop, pop. Now he's going full mojo. Pop. Now, am I being the one who's a jerk? Am I the one being a jerk? Whoa, look at these guys. Look at these guys. Now, why am I maybe the jerk here? Because I assumed that knight c7 was just not going to work out because we had a death pawn. We had the death pawn. So maybe I was the one who blew it here. Let's go back. There's some dark tactics going on here, my friends. c3. c3 is definitely the right try. Whew, man. Even though we took that pawn with the rook, we might be in trouble, because how does our queen mess with white? And then dude says, realizing I cannot win the knight, I went for further complications. Okay, may be true. Let's pause for a second here. Whew. All right, I got to ask. How does white knock us out after bishop c8? I think we're going to get knocked out. For example, queen c4, bishop b7, and rook b1. I can't really take because of queen c8. And then they're also, even if I magically defend the bishop's coming out. So wait a second. Wait a second. I had to read this note. After c3, dude says, I calculated until 25 rook a1 when I thought I had queen d8 winning the knight. I missed queen a6. This is big time. This is big time. Ooh, man. Knight cb5. So first of all, if it's true, it deserves an exclam, right? This thing deserves an exclam. Knight cb5. Holy moly. We made one. We were doing great. I think black's definitely better in this position, whether you play rook b8, queen g5, queen e5. Black's better because of the bishops. But then all of a sudden, rook c7, white has this cracker. Dang. That's the real deal, my friend. Man, okay. So now we're just toast. That's a weird move. Now I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm okay, wait a second. What's happening here? So first of all, bishop b5. Knight b5 is truly unnecessary because the bishop isn't doing anything on b5. So a simple way to play this for white would be queen b2. The bishop's got to move. I bring the knight back, and we're under control. I think what happens here is dude does not see, white does not see that this is the issue. And now we have ourselves a little bit of complications. Good move. Thank you. And AB. We definitely needed to examine rook takes b5 because that comes with tempo. Now, this one, this one's an interesting position. Let me go back in time in my own chess history. And I used to be so fond of the two bishops versus the rook. But I can tell you right now, the rook is definitely better in this position. Oh, buddy. Yeah, I think we're toast, actually. Yeah, the pawn is too powerful. That can't be a bad move. All right, queen a4, that can't be bad. Very direct. Very direct. Okay. And dude says unclear. Definitely we're toast, by the way. We're definitely all the way gone here. But white does have to play well. Why are we gone? Because we have no counterplay. There you go. Okay. Queen c8 looks really strong here. Now, one of the things is he's not doing a lot of annotations. We'll have some sympathy because he doesn't have that much time during the game to play it. Now, note, this is not the longest time control. I think they started at 45, but 30 seconds a move. So you do get forever, as we've seen on Endgame Sensei. Like a little bit of back and forth. Not sure I understand a lot of these moves. And that's it. All in all, I believe I played a good game. I was under a lot of pressure, but still delivered a fight. I should improve my time management. But when I'm unfamiliar with the opening, or especially then, I should move quicker and pay more attention to not leave pieces undefended. Okay. Now, I got to say, you got hit by a cracker, dude. You got hit by a knight CB5. That's something the GM could miss there, man. That's definitely something the GM could miss. Especially in a game 45, you know. I think Rook c7 was dubious from positional reasons. And a lot of times, you know, when you do something wrong positionally, that's when you get slapped. But still. And, you know, he gave you a lot of chances, too, in the end. Like, he made it complicated. In particular with this move, A takes B5. Yeah, it's a rough business. I'm just seeing if there's any way to make it complicated. No, I don't think so. That pawn's rolling. Okay, Stan, you're doing great, man. You're doing great. I'm loving this. Let's look again at activity. Ray talked about this a little bit before. Stan's definitely making progress. So 13, 14, watch out, buddy. Gome. See, a lot of times I don't know who is who, and I thought Gome and Stan were two different people. They're the same. They're the same. I Like Playing Chess says, how do I actually make use of the program? I bought a membership. Is the main value finding sparring partners? Well, I think there's a lot of value. I think the training program, in my estimation, is the main thing. Part of the training program is sparring partners, right? I think also studying with people is a great thing. I think playing people who aren't cheaters long games, that's a great thing. You know, so there's a lot going on, and we got other perks too, but I want to just stress those the most. Okay, good. That was Stan. Let's go Enthusiastic Noob. Enthusiastic Noob, piece towards the front. Nope. Where's Enthusiastic Noob, Bows? Uh-oh, did I lose Enthusiastic Noob? Maybe. So these are the last week. And I think I got to go find Enthusiastic Noob. I can find him, though. So we're going to go scoreboard. This will be our chance to kind of examine the scoreboard. 15, 16. Enthusiastic Noob. There he is. 128 points gained. Very nice. Activity. Dude! Oh, dude. Enthusiastic Noob is enthusiastic. Look at that, my friends. 212. 212. That's the real work. In fact, I'm just going to go out and say that in terms of Dojo 2.0, that's the highest score I've ever seen. That's the highest score right there, my friends. Wrath of Gods is asking about that AB position. I just thought that was lost. But yeah, it was a hard moment after knight cb5. I think White's crushing. And then he played knight c7 because he had knight d6, which was a nice position too. But dude played knight c7, going the route of darkness. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Yeah. Let's just say, enthusiastic new boss, you are bringing it. 212. 212. Let's look at this for a second. So, if I go over here and I say games played, 50. Annotated games, 50. 50. 50. And I believe that is the full requirement for the dojo there. And then some postmortems. Let's go look at the other things dude did. Tactics. Dang. Polgar mates in 2. Nice. Genius level. Okay, let's end game, opening, middle game strategy. Oh, man. This is the real deal, man. Dude did it. Let's go look. And no time breakdown yet. So I'm sure what happened is that he brought in his points and didn't do the time. Actually, might have started doing the time, though, for 15, 16. There we go. Games and analysis. So this is somebody who's not only doing the Rex, but really following the spirit of the dojo training program, which is to focus on your games. 212 means 212 points, and basically the way the dojo point, the simplest way to understand it is as a unit. And if you play a classical game, you get a point. If you annotate a long game, you get a point. So then there's, of course, other things. Usually, if you read one of the books in the program, that's 10 points. But basically, if you imagine a point as being playing a game or analyzing it. Yeah. Okay, so now the true test, to look at one of his annotations. There's only one. Now, this could probably, what this reflects is just the new games page, is people who are putting their games in now, instead of before in the old way. Okay, so angry with myself after this game, I can't see more than 2 moves ahead. I haven't slept well and came into the game with a terrible attitude. All right, so he is white. Wow, dude. Okay, now let me just say, enthusiastic noob is at the level where you are allowed to study openings. This is the move that I advocate in the new Chessable course, which is the aggressive repertoire for white, according to the dojo. And yeah, we got ourselves a really interesting position. Now, G6 is a positional mistake because whites can now get improved version of the Rosalimo with bishop takes C6 and F4. So they should do it immediately, though, because if F4, then knight D4 could come. So black doesn't understand that. White doesn't either. But now we get the dream. And now this is a dream position for white. Okay, castles. D3. I'm glad you didn't think about E5. Unnecessary. In general, we want to be pushing this pawn, not the E pawn. We'll only want to push E5 if we get something very concrete for it. Castles, F5. Now he says this is a mistake, but it's very much in the spirit of our setup. So I'm going to reserve judgment with F5. It would have definitely been more easy to play Queen E1, Queen H4, and then F5. The question about this, though, is can dude really, is it advisable? Is that a word? Kraai. Is it advisable for black to take? They take. Now, it's important we do the correctamundo things here. I think Queen E1 is the default move. That's a mistake. So, yeah, that's definitely a mistake. So one thing I want to stress about this F5 sacrifice is, first of all, it's very common. And the point of this sacrifice is positional. I want to activate my rook, and I want to activate the bishop. So, in this position, I'm going to say you have great compensation still if you just play Queen E1. There might be other things, but this should be our default move. Because if they ever take, we recapture with the pawn. Honestly, we could consider taking with the knight. But we want to keep the bishop out of this situation. If the bishop gets to g6, it's going to be hard to mate him, right? Here we have great compensation. We're going to play queen h4 next, and then probably bishop h6, and we're going to play for mate. We are playing for mate, right? Black's extra pawn doesn't mean that much. Okay, now, also, I should say we have other moves here too. We could consider knight h4, forcing this, and now making them think about knight f5, also a thought. And then if e6, well, there's a lot to calculate. We can consider bishop g5, but we could also consider the mundane queen e1 again. Okay, so interesting position. This was your first big mistake, ef5. And now we need to play knight h4. Good. A little frisky, because the bishop going to g6 isn't going to get dislodged anytime soon, and we want to play queen e1, as you say. So queen d7. Now you play bishop g5. Okay. I definitely would like to play h3, and I definitely don't believe in bishop takes h3. The problem isn't just that dude loses the bishop, but that he loses the light squares. So this is an important variation to go over, because here you should tell yourself, nah, boss. No, this ain't gonna work. Let's begin by sticking our big old fat knight into this dude. Next move, we play queen g3. Oh, man. Over. Finito de la commedia. Okay, so bishop g5. Not sure I understand that move. And he writes, I am letting him trade the pieces off and get into an endgame where his pawns are decisive. So we still need to play h3. And on h3, I think we have really good compensation, because if they go here, we go here. If they go back, it's just ugly. It's just ugly. That's what it is. We'll figure out what we do next. Now, one of the interesting things about this move, I think you're right in calling him a mistake. I don't think it's totally over, though. Yeah, let's just see what happens first. I don't think it's over here. So pop, that's what I had a feeling. So you should take with a pawn. And now listen to your reasoning. I didn't want the isolated pawn. Boss, this is about mate. This has nothing to do with isolated pawns. You are now all in. You are all in. It is mate or nothing here. And the point with pawn takes is we reserve the right to play queen g3, and we want desperately the ability to play knight f5. If we can achieve knight f5, we have chances. This is a position where maybe the computer will tell us we're toast, and maybe we are, but we definitely have great practical chances still in this position. Yeah. Okay. So, queen e4, f6. I'm not a huge fan of f6, but maybe. So one of the things I want to stress is, in these positions, it's really important for black to achieve lateral protection. And so if I was going to be playing black, I would be most interested in f5 followed by either e6 or e5 to get that lateral protection of the queen, just to feel nice and comfy. Okay. Poor move. Poor move. Bows. What are you doing? What are you doing? Now your pawns are chumps. Queen g3, please. There we go. e5. Okay. Now, there's a funny misspelling here. Blocks my potential rook life. I think dude means rook file. I think black is... I think if we play rook f2, we have interesting chances. Now, here's the deal with rook f2. We want to achieve knight f5. That is our dream before he can achieve f5. So if we play rook f2 now, the point would be, oh, on f5 I have h3, thank you very much, and I'm going to win this business. Is that true, Kraai? Maybe not. Maybe you're full of it, buddy. I think I'm full of it. Yeah, you can't win that thing. Come on, buddy. So it's a hard life then. Okay, maybe I have more sympathy with what you're saying. We would love to do it. Unfortunately, oh, that's a bad move. That's just a bad move. Yeah, so black is just insouciant to his own problems here. Knight f5 is, I mean, first of all, I have sympathy with knight f5, and if you're saying bishop b4 is even better. But I would want to play knight f5 too. Winning the exchange isn't necessarily such a thing. Let's say for him, like this dude, just play f5. If you lock the knight out, that's it. If you lock the knight out, that's it. Okay, knight f5. Okay, that's a mistake. Why? Because the dude has to go back to e6 to fight for the f5 square. Now, maybe we're in trouble anyway. Queen h4 is a thought. You know, Queen h4, you still have some problems that you're giving him. You're threatening knight g7. So now I don't think they have any problems. Snippos. Right, and now it's going to be hard to create a threat. Meanwhile, black is going to start marching the pawns. Yeah, this doesn't help. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. Desperado. It's a good trick. Unfortunately, no lo puedo. Okay. Okay. Enthusiastic nude. Now, enthusiastic nude is bringing it. Okay. So, a couple things here. One is it's clear that he's using the aggressive repertoire, which is great. And there are some interesting strategic things for him to understand and practice. So, for example, in the aggressive repertoire, g6, I gave this as a sparring position. Right? Whether they play bc or dc, I'm interested in f4, knight f3, d3, the same structure we get in the game. It's important to understand that it's a big achievement. Okay, so then also, here you get it. I totally with you. That, by the way, with queen e1 followed by queen h4, black is in real deep. It might not look that bad, but let me assure you, black is in deep doo-doo because the counterplay is so slow and we are playing for mate. Now, the EF was an important mistake, whereas it's important to understand for your opening and just attacking play in general that we don't care about the fact that our pawn's isolated. Maybe we care a little bit, but that's down the list of priorities. That's down the list of priorities. And if you play like queen e1 or knight h4 here, you have very interesting play. Okay, good. So, enthusiastic noob, we're hoping we see you coming up here. Yeah, great, dude. Fantastic. All right, next is Hector Gray. I'm going a little slow today, Baus. I'm enjoying it, though, man. Actually, one of the things we can see is the more you go up, the more we're going to get people who have actually, typed in their notes. This was probably bound to happen quickly since my classical rating on Lead Chess was provisional, but regardless, I'm really enjoying the program so far. Okay, cool. So here's Hector. Let's see what they did to get up. 49 points, great. A lot of games and analysis. Yeah, that's a proper time breakdown right there, my friends. Yeah, first time chat. Hector is here, in fact. Nice, let me read it out. The program has been really nice so far. I'm enjoying the focus on game analysis. If you check out my annotated games, I'd ask you to look over the one versus Seelenjagd. The other was just a straightforward win. Done. That we will do. Seelenjagd means the hunt for souls. I kind of like it. Okay, so Hector. First of all, I'm really enjoying this breakdown here. Really good. Let's just see with the end game here. The algorithm. Okay, good. Games. Seelenjagd. Ooh, 23-18. A draw. Okay. Sharp games only. Hector's sharp. This game was part of a simul exhibition organized by Rolf Schlindwein. I'm thinking back. I lived in Germany for a while, and I don't know if the name is mildly familiar. It's been so long. I'm a boomer. I can't remember things. Okay, here we go though, and we're gonna flip it. So it's a simul, but Rolf has 60 minutes on the clock. Sometimes they do this. Okay. Dealing with flank openings. Okay. Good. Good. And in fact, bishop g2 here is a mild inaccuracy where I think correct would be knight f3, intending to meet d5 with either d4 or cd, ed, d4. So, and you write that, great. The most popular move is actually an inaccuracy, correct. Oh, now you're doing great, because now you have the control over the center. And I think you're right, d4 makes a lot of sense. Let's look at your analysis here. Right, and we're not afraid. He correctly doesn't really want this position either. That's just a nice position for you. One cool thing, I don't know if it's cool, but if you're playing a simul and things are maybe not going your way, make a move like d3, because you're just putting the ball in black's court. Let's just see what they do. Let's just see. Now, first of all, it's hard to imagine that knight c6 is poor, right? And if I could put in my own words why d4 is a good move, it's that if we imagine d4, knight e4, knight takes, bishop takes is the main variation, the problem for white will be that the bishop has to go back, that it owes time. Or rather, it's just going to be difficult for white to play without moving the bishop back, right? So it's ultimately, in my mind, about time, not simply space. Knight c6, and now we get a weird move, knight h3. Okay. So now this is an interesting moment, because it's true that if you allow knight f4, then dude is going to be able to park himself on d5, which maybe that's what happens in the game. And d4 is just much stronger, in fact, than it was before, because now dude cannot recapture on e4 with the bishop because l-knight is hanging. Okay. And M. Norris looked at this game. Good. Good. I'm hoping that it means that people were checking it out within the cohort. So bishop e7, incorrect, right. Knight f4, good move. d4, pop. Correct. Correct from white. Now, does it mean that white's better? Probably not. It just means that we have fix his knights, right? His knights were funky. Okay, understand, you missed it. And of course, these other notes are great. You wouldn't want to play bishop e6 unless you saw this idea. I still fully believe in your position, by the way, so let's not get down on ourselves. Castles. I kind of like the spirit of that move. Let's see if you say anything about it. It'd be good to talk a little bit about your motivations. So for me, the interesting thing about castles, I'm sure you could play bishop d6 as well, is if dude takes on e7, then we're claiming that queen e7 is a developing move. And we can maybe leave the knight on d5 until they give us that developing move. Now, let me just tell you, this is old style stuff. He's just putting the ball in your court, making these little squirrely moves. Rook e8, very good move. With some ideas to tuck, absolutely. I think bishop d2, clearly wrong. You got a castle boss. Knight e7, and right. This is definitely incorrecto. With queen e7, dude has a problem. I don't think they can castle, by the way. Why? I mean, okay, you're saying that... okay, I'm just going to admit, I missed the knight on f4. Was covering the pawn. But yeah, we just got everything here. We got everything going. Yeah. Space. You can play b6 at some point, rook c8. Pawn on e2 is a weakness. Maybe someday we can play g5, or at least dude has to worry about g5. Great, man. Great. So yeah, too fancy. Yeah, now I can imagine us becoming worse because if he starts tickling the pawn, I don't have b6. Which he does. Good, he's tickling. Oh, buddy, here we go. Queen c2, and dude says slightly better for white. Yeah, seems correct to me. This move, g5, is certainly interesting. That's a ballsy move. Now let me commend it for a second. And there's a great rule of thumb that took me a while to really appreciate. Is that if the trend is going against you, okay, such as it is here, then it's a good path to try to change the trend of the game, the structure of the position. And that's what you do with g5. And dude is just like, nah, I'm playing this low-rated dude. I'm not going to move my knight back. I was just there. I don't want to go back. Okay, so dude goes for it with queen c5. Now let's talk about this for a second. The intuition to do this, especially against the lower-rated player, is pretty interesting because what we're saying is that our bishops are amazing and that the king will be in the center of the board. I assume dude wants to play here and this kind of thing. And that in particular, it's the dark square bishop who will be the beast. Yeah. So while I think I'm sure you're right that it's objectively true that knight h3 was better. This one's at least interesting. This is fun. Okay. Now, Hector says this is a clear advantage for black, and it might be. Okay, maybe it is, but this is some interesting questions right now. I think knight g6 is a good start, though, because the bishop doesn't want to go back to d2. Okay. Knight g6. So, right. If this is better for black, we need to prove it right now. And this, I think, is the correct move. At least if I was white, this would annoy me. Because I don't have a great spot. Now, dude talks about bishop f6, rook king f6, rook d5 is what the computer wants. If I was white, I would never exchange my bishop. Not in a million years. Now bishop g4 gives an exclam. Now, personally, if I was in this situation as black, I would be really interested in just playing h6. Yeah, just play h6, bows. What are we talking about? Get rid of that bishop. Get rid of it, man. Go. Get rid of the thing. Now, it seems, though, that your move is simple and strong. Why not? Now, f3 is just so sad. So sad. Did we really have to do it? Probably. Oh, here's a bummer for black. h5, rook e2, king f1, and worst case scenario, I play this move. I'm trying to rook b1. Actually, I'm not. I can wait. So wait a second. Could white have tried this magic? This would have been the magic trick to try for. If bishop h5, I get him with snip and snook. If knight h5, I might be toast. I think I'm toast. I cannot play f3 because of knight g3. That's very sad. Okay, so that's what's called a bummer. Call that a bummer. So bishop g4, exclam. Now, let me just say, h4, I don't get it. I don't get it. So the computer wants some weird bishop f6, rook d5. I certainly don't want it. Let's just show Chad and everybody what's going on here. If I play king d2, if I'm black, I'm worried about h6. And in that case, that would be my human variation for what's going on in this position. Now is king d2 on these notes? I can't figure it out. Hold on. There's a big notes coming up here. So king g7, king d2. Okay. If I was playing this bad boy for white, that would be my desire. There's all kinds of potential dramas here. One potential drama is this move, knight g4, talking to this thing, and saying, next move, boss, I'm going to play h6, and you don't even get nada. You don't even get nada for your pata. It's still unclear, though. Knight g4, maybe just play h3 and say, no, boss, you're the one that's trapped. So I don't understand h4, honestly, because h6 kind of deals with stuff. Your move is amazing. Now you're winning. Now you're winning. There's no doubt about it now. Yeah. All right, so what dude is saying is that on h6, king g6, bishop d2, it's much harder to parry the threat. And I'm assuming when we say the threat, it's rook g5. I'm going to say I'm still not believing this, though. Let's say I play knight d7. How am I getting destroyed here, right? I'm doing okay. I can't believe in it for white because this guy's such a chump. He's such a chump, man. I can't believe it. No, I think you're killing him here, man. I think you're killing him. Charlie Silva, thank you for rating us. Charlie Silva has been with the dojo for a while, before we even started this training program business. One of the original monsters. Okay. Hector Gray's in the chat. I think you're doing fine, boss. I think white's game is completely collapsed because the bishop on g2 is now a chump. You're right that knight d5 f4, and I'm a little nervous, you know. Yeah, here I'm nervous. I still don't know if you're in trouble, though. Like, let's just say I move the rook over. How does dude intend to wreck me here? right? I'm going to play f5 next. It's by all means hot. I just don't know how I'm actually going to get roasted. Okay. By the way, these are great, fantastic notes, too. If f5, I take the thing, right? Thank you. Let's take it. Welcome to the dojo. Right. Okay. So, let's continue. Knight f8 and rook h4. Okay. Good. I just want to say psychologically, I feel so much better about everything getting this h6 move in. That's a sad move. I wouldn't want to do that if I was white, but dude wants to take this pawn. Okay. Now, knight d7, and dude says, poor move. All right, let's scroll down a second. And bishop a2 is certainly a thought. My gut reaction is that you're completely winning after rook ac8. Yeah, because you'll have the a2 threat, plus you're having rook c2 stuff. Right? Bishop a2 maybe, but why that allows the dude to do things after rook ac8? Dude's not doing anything ever again. It's hard for white to move too, because anytime they play f4, they got to worry about bishop g4. Okay, knight d7. Yep, now I'm a little worried. Uh-oh. Wow. Let's look at this trap. And dude says, I think only black is playing for a win here. I guess I'd have to do something sad like bishop f1. Truly sad. Okay, that's pretty good, dude. So rook ac8, and dude says thank you very much. Yeah, you're doing some cheap tricks, man. You're doing some cheap tricks. King f2, pop. Okay. My traps didn't work, and I immediately blunder a tactic. Okay, now I think and it's rook c2 is definitely my intuition. What is happening here? Very hard to say. This is difficult to say. Note that we can't take twice here because this pawn is attacked. We might have to do something ridiculously sad like bishop f1. No one wants to do it. If f4, we got to be concerned with this thing. Okay. So king f2, rook b8. Uh-oh. People blundering over here. Now I remember seeing him on the Lee Chess chat talking about how he has to play fast and avoid complicated positions to be able to keep up with the amount of games. So I played my next move and offered a draw. Okay, so definitely rook dd7, toast. Yeah. All right, rook b8. Drawn by mutual agreement. I don't think I would have accepted in his position. With 4 pawns for the piece and a majority on the queen side, I think I probably wouldn't have been able to hold this. Hey, I'm not complaining. Okay. After analyzing, I can say that I'm pleased with resourcefulness, finding moves like g5, bishop g4, rook ac1, and the plans behind them. I also think I held my nerves relatively well. I don't mind getting into complications against a stronger player. That said, I definitely need to work on my concrete calculations. I see that I guided myself on my plans way too much, often not thinking about my opponent's responses. Okay, cool. And I want to say, like, this position here, where we have a very fascinating imbalance, is very instructive long-term for you, because here you'll have the chance you'll have it again at some point, or something that looks like it. And then it's just really interesting, like queen versus a weird structure. This thing versus a weird structure. And to me, the big question is simply, can black get counterplay? I.e., should we be playing on? I guess that's our big question, right? Intuitively, I think black should play on. Now, I get it, you're playing a higher rated player and all that stuff. But and the reason is because that bishop is a chump. Might even lead to what's probably the best move for white is f4 here, so that we can play bishop f3 next. Yeah, it's still very hot. And the question will be, can the knight pawns dominate the black knight or not? Okay. Whew. Pretty good, dude. Pretty good. Oh my God. Kraai. This is the longest game review show ever. That's fine. Dienstag simultan against I am Seelenjagd. Okay, so my friends, let's go to back to the front, and we're going to look at Ha's game now. Ha, where'd you go, Mr. Ha? Oh, there he is, right next to Halvbjorn, somewhere around here. There's Mr. Bananas. So just a couple down from there. Uh-oh, that's new. There's Halvbjorn. 1%, that's new. Oh, I might have to go find him. So this lists the last week, and so some people have been recycled out of it, but I can go find Ha. So let's go find Ha. And Ha is going to be in 1700. So let's go scoreboard. 1617. Oh, look at this beautiful thing, man. Look at this beautiful thing. And where is Mr. Ha? There he is. Graduated a couple times. Activity, nothing yet. Let's look at games, nothing yet. Okay, so Ha has actually graduated a couple times on the old scoreboard, hasn't put their info in yet. Normally I shame them for this. However, I need to move on. Let's go to Halvbjorn. I think Halvbjorn means half-child. That's my guess. That's my great guess. And let's go look for Halvbjorn just by going into his cohort. And there he is right there. I love looking at this. You can see the dojo score. You can see the time spent. Let's go time spent. Boom. Glios, friend of the dojo, has done 308 hours. That's what we're talking about, Baus. Now you can add your non-dojo time in here as well. There's Chess Latte with 127 hours. Dang, wait, I got to go click on Chess Latte for a second. Time breakdown. Tactics like a madman. What is he doing? Dude, Polgar mates in two, man. Working on it. Dude, I'm happy to see that. We haven't seen Chess Latte that much recently, and I can tell you why. It's because he's in Japan now, so he's like in a different time schedule and stuff. Okay. Hector, thank you for being here. That was great that you could show up during the analysis. So let's go activity. This is for Halvbjorn. And let's check it out. 16, 17, 137. Dang. Mostly games and analysis. That's how dude did it. Has done loads of maiden twos. Look at that bows. All right. That's what I'm talking about. Halvbjorn is bringing it. All right. Let's go look at the games. Nothing. Nothing. Halvbjorn. Wait a second. It's true. Wait, is it true? Let's go back. He says games analysis. Annotated games 21. Now, maybe those games are in the old database. Possible. One of the great things that we have in Dojo 2.0, of which there are many, is the games now. Like when I was doing, let me just say, when I was doing the old show, people would have like 3,000 different names. You know, they have a Discord name, they have a name they use on Lichess, a different name they use on ChessComp. And I couldn't figure it out sometimes. So I'd search for somebody's name and it'd be like, I can't find all their names. Now, when you input a game into the database, it pairs you with your identity here. So I instantly see it when I hit games and I go pop, it'll show it. Okay, a lot of the games though have the games are still in there though, and you can sometimes find them, but it won't be automatically connected as it is for a lot of the games that we are finding. So more and more we'll see when people input their games, they'll all be in there. My games have the same thing. I have in the old database, I did a bunch, and so I don't have all of them yet connected to my identity. Okay, great. Now, we're going to go now, Ringer. I'm just going to say Ringers in West Virginia. I don't know if that's what WV means. But this is also a good opportunity for us to look at the 1819's cohort and see what it looks like. Dang. Knows all. 631 hours, mouse. Oh, this is a real cohort here. With Laurent and Thorbiddles, dude. Yeah, we got some people doing it, man. This is great. Dang. So, I think just a half a second ago, I said something like the most time ever spent I saw was 200 and some. 631 is obviously winning. That's an obvious win, my friend. How is Chess Latte's journey going? We'll have to do a little look in. He needs to graduate, though. That's what's going on. He needs to make a move. I know there's not that much chess in Japan, so that's one obstacle for him now. Whew. All right, we got one more to go. That's a Ringer. Let's find a Ringer. Donde está Ringer? Ringer's in here somewhere. Let's go down. Am I not seeing it? Sometimes I don't see it because I'm a boomer GM. Okay, I'm going to do Control F. And when all else fails, do Control F pause. No, it's not in here. Okay, maybe that's my bad. Maybe I got it wrong. Let's go now the previous one and look for Ringer. So, let's just Control F because that's where I am. Oh, I spelled Ringer wrong. That's one problem we have, buddy. There's Ringer. Pop. 1819. Activity. Dude hasn't put a lot of his stuff in yet. Okay. Graduated from 1718. Now we'll look at games. Not there yet. Okay, guys. That's been a great show. Let me just stress that before Dojo 2.0, we had about 4 to 6 graduates, and that made it a little bit easier to cover. Now we have a lot of people who are remembering that they need to graduate because this Dojo 2.0 is so great. And let's just say something obvious. When you have a beautiful interface like this that we have going on here, what happens is it's just more interesting to mark down your results, your time spent. It's a beautiful graph you get to see. And so we're seeing people really using the program in a way that's much more productive for them, myself included. It's just much more pleasurable to, do my business, figure it out, and put it in. We got to click on Glios here for a second. Bang! Bang, look at that. And let's go ratings. Using Chess.com Rapid. FIDE, nice. USCF, beautiful. Oh, and the custom is preferred. So I forgot where dude is from. Maybe he's. I'm not even gonna speculate. Not even gonna speculate. But he's got a preferred other rating. There's the time breakdown. Non-dojo. Pretty good healthy wheel there. Opening. Let's click on openings for a second. Yeah, dude, this is what I want to see. Response to E4. Nice. Model games. Nice. You, my friends, you're seeing it right there. You're seeing it right there. Okay. Get the time zones in there again. Yeah, and in fact, one thing I will say is right here in the description is where everybody should be putting it. Put their time zone in there. And maybe, Jack, you know what I'll do? And I'll enter a spot for the time zone when you fill out your profile. I'm going to add that to Jack's massive to-do list. That guy's going to get back and be like, boss, how come you're making me do all this stuff? But he's fast, dude. That's something like that. I think what happens is he sits there down at his desk and he says a spell and the mouse rises up and it goes click, 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 and then code just comes out, man. Quadex, he has a good suggestion. I actually have to meet now with the other senseis. We're going to talk about openings and how it works. We got a lot of discussions now, Dojo 2.0, about improvements, and we have several combos that we're going to hopefully have in the next couple weeks to just hash some stuff out, how we present stuff. And we had a lot of questions recently about openings, rightly so. We have to be very clear about how they are presented, what the recs are, all that kind of stuff. My friends, I'm out of here. I'm going to raid somebody.